These are the basic things you need to understand. We are going to be moving to typography. Now we've understood the principles of designs, in which I will make quick recap in the principles of designs. We understand that firstly we need our design to be in harmony, we need it to be united, we need our designs to be balanced in a sense that there is no default there. Maybe one side is balanced and the other is not balanced. No, that's not a good design. If you are trying to be following the law of symmetry and asymmetry, you need, okay, the designs that are related to each other must be balanced, and the designs that are not related to each other, which are the asymmetry, must also be balanced, because the combinations of designs that are related to each other, the combination of the balancing of the designs that are related to each other will lead to symmetry. Then the asymmetry is the combinations of the symmetry design, the symmetry balancing. So let's say you balance everything together, you balance all the designs, that all the concepts that relate to each other. The asymmetry is now balancing the concepts that you balance that relate to each other, even though they do not relate to each other. Then we also understand the scale and proportion. We understand that we need to place, and we need we cannot be designing a proportion or a shape, let's say an A4 design on another proportion, on another orientation. We cannot be designing an A4 design on a social media design. We cannot be designing an A4 design on a flyer design. We cannot be designing an A4 design on a poster design or on a billboard. We need, if a client asks us any job, this will bring us back to how we can answer them more effectively, by first asking for the proportion in which and the scale in which they want to carry out this kind of designs. These designs must be in a scale that we represent and present what you are actually trying to achieve. You must know what your design is trying to achieve. If it's maybe the end result of your design will later end on the social media or end on the online design, the proportion and the scale in which you are going to use for these designs will be different from the scale in which you are going to use for the designs that will later end on the billboard. Because even the orientation, if it's going to be a landscape or the other orientation, must be there. Then we also understand hierarchy. We need to understand that in the way you are going to place your design, you must place it in base of importance and hierarchy. The designs in which you are designing has steps, they have layers. You cannot be designing and you are going to be placing the contact information more than the theme, or let's say more than what they are presenting. There's no way people will actually contact you if they don't know what you are trying to present. That's why you need to understand the sense of hierarchy. Whenever a design is brought to you, you need to understand that, okay, which one is more prominent, which one did users, because you are designing for the users, which one the users need to first see, which one did users need to first interact with, that will give them a clear-cut vision of how and what kind of program we are trying to portray. And this is a work of hierarchy. We also talk on other types of designs, which are the let me see the other types of design, the initial types of designs, the balancing, the hierarchy. You have the similarities, the dominance. I told you that the design must be dominating. You must have a color that is dominating the kind of color you are going to be using. You must have the text that will be dominating the kind of text you are going to be using. You must have something that will be dominating it. If you look at some design, you notice that the type of text that will be dominating it will be a sans serif text or font. In this sense, it means that the dominance of that concept, that visual component, is balanced. Because if you have different type of fonts coming together and it doesn't really sound, or it's not giving it the balanced thing we need. We must understand that in any design you're going to do, there must be dominance in it. In the colors, there must be color that will be dominating it, and there must also be similarities and contrast. If you are going to be placing something on a light background, it must be a dark element. If you want it to be very prominent, I want it to be visible. If it's something that I want to be visible, just like this typography is placed on a white background and the typography itself is a black background, you cannot be placing a light yellow font or a light yellow color on this white background and you expect it to be visible. If only you don't want your element or your component to be visible, you can place it that way. But if you want it to follow the law of similarities and contrast, you need to be placing the components in an opposite manner. This opposite manner means that if you are placing something on a light background, it must be dark. If you are placing something on a dark background, it must be light. If you look at my shirt, notice that the cream there is a background, and what is placed on that cream is a deep or a dark. What is placed on the cream clothes, what is placed on this cream side is a dark background, and they are dark colors. So now we are going to be moving briefly into the terminologies, and that's why we are going to be studying more of typography and colors. In a paid week, we are going to be studying extensively on the typography and colors, but I would love us just to understand some basic terminologies in this typography. You've understood the terminologies about the principles of designs, and please don't forget them. Then the typography, in this sense, the typography deals with we have the sounds, we have the classifications of the typography, we have the sound, the serif font. If you notice the serif font, when anyone talks about a serif font, you need to understand that serif fonts are fonts that have the protruding curves. If you notice them, they are more of elegance. If you notice this kind of fonts, they are more of elegance. They are kind of elegant type of fonts, and as it said this way, it says it's best suited for printed logos, body copies, website, and titles. If it serves the purpose of the listed best suits for, you can use it. Every font needs to serve purpose in which is needed for. There are logos that cannot accommodate serif font, and there are logos that accommodate serif font. If you are looking for elegance company will prefer using serif font because they are more stylish, and when I say elegance, they are elegantly stylish. It means that it's not really in a way not coordinated. They are coordinated fonts, but they are stylish fonts. If you notice that they have the back line, they have balancing in the font, but they have stylish interface, they have stylish type of view. And these are the types of fonts which you can find in this same category. We have the Times Roman, we have the Gorgia, we have the Cambria, we have other types of fonts as the serif fonts. So next time you hear the word serif, you need to understand that they are fonts with protruding curves. And also, let us also check the other classifications of fonts so as to know their terminologies. The other classifications of fonts will deal with the sans serif font. This sans serif font deals more of in a form they are not protruding curves, and they are the end, the point of these fonts are always like rounded. The point of these fonts, they are not very sharp. If you want to note a sans serif type of font, at which is a type of the typography, the terminology in which we are going to be learning tonight, the sans serif type of font is the type of font which have rounded edges. All their edges is rounded, and these are also types of fonts in which you can see about them. Then we're also going to move into the slab serif font. This slab serif fonts, they are more of importance, and the way they are viewed, the way they are viewed, you notice that this font is we bring people more attention than other type of font. I told you earlier that fonts are used to serve purpose. Regardless of the type of font, you need it to serve purpose. So let's say you have a typeface in which you want to present. I want it to be to call the attention of other people. You can use this lab serif font, because in this lab serif font you get to see protruding curves, and these protruding curves, they are sharp. In the serif font, they are also protruding curves, but they are not they are they are shaped in a way that is stylish. Then the sans serif, they have no protruding, which makes them round. They are not sharp in typeface. And this slab serif font, they are fonts that they have sharp edges. Also, we are going to be learning the other classification of font, which is the scripting font. These script fonts, they are fonts they are not stylish, but they are fonts in which they resemble handwriting fonts, and often is used for formal invitation. Let's say you are talking about let's put, maybe we are talking about an audition or a club activity, or let's say you are talking about an information that is not formal, that maybe, okay, we have a birthday party that we want to organize. You can use it there, but it will be very inaccurate of you to be, maybe you are designing, and your users will be company to company based users, and you are using a scripting font. That will not serve the purpose for the font. A scripting font is used like handwritings, and it's best suited for formal invitations, formal presentations, and formal typeface. We have other type of fonts in which is listed underneath. We have different type of fonts, like by black letters. We have the modern. We have the handwriting type of font. Is the type of font in which we look like your handwriting, a stylish handwriting. We have the monospaced type of font. It's just like the sans serif type of font, but it's more advanced and it's used to serve specific purpose. But these are the basic and the most important typeface in which you need to understand. You need to understand that there are fonts, there are serif, there are sans serif, there are slab serif, we have scripting, we have the handwriting, and we have the black letters. These scripting fonts, sans serif, they are the one with round edges. The serif are the ones with protruding curves, but they are stylish. Then the slab sans serif, they are the one with protruding curves, but they are very sharp. With this, I hope you get some important terminologies. In typeface, in typography. So these are the most important terminologies that you need in typography. And then we are going to be leading to the technicalities of a typeface, just to learn and to get the terminologies in them. If you are talking about anything leading, it means that the space from the first word, the space from the last word to the space of the end of the next word. So let's say is different from saying a caring or a caring terminology. This technicality, means that if you are talking about leading, it means that this is the space between the baselines, the lines upon which the end of the last line to the end of the next line. If you are talking about a leading technicality, and maybe in any way, in any organization, they say what is the length of the leading, because they might add the length of the leading to it. If you are working on a word based type, they might add the length of the leading to it. And also, we are going to be studying the second terminology, technicality, with the line length. There's a way in which you can extend the line length. There's a way in which you can construct the line length. If you are talking about the line length, it means that the distance occupied by text in these lines between the right and the left hand margin. This is the right and left hand margin. So the distance from this place to this place, this thing occupies 12 stones. So these 12 stones are arranged they are arranged in a way of alignment in which one is not greater than one, the space between one is not greater than the space between another. In this, when they are talking about the line length, it means that the distance from one line to another, the total line like this, it means the line length. And this line length can be contrasted and it can be expanded depending on what you need it for and depending on the purpose in which you need it to serve for. Then the next one we are going to be talking about, now is the kerning. The kerning. This means that in every font there is different types of the kerning, because if you are looking for a sans serif font, know that they are deeply in a way close to each other. If you are talking about a scripting font, they might also be deeply close to each other. But we are talking about some other stylish fonts. They might be far apart, and you might need them to be in that line and that white, as it said, this is the white space between individual characters, and many fonts come with a default kerning value. As I said earlier, I said these fonts have different values depending on the kind of font you are using. You might be using a font that the shapes, the length from the N to A will be longer than if you use another font which has the N to A. Depending on what you want to design and what you have in view will be how you are going to position or place your font. And the main essence of this particular discussion is so that we can show you the terminologies in typography, not really about the detailed meaning of typography, not really about detailed meaning of typography. Then we are going to be talking about the tracking. Tracking is used to adjust the space. Tracking is used to adjust the space informality over a range of characters. So what this tracking means is that it deals with when they say justification, it deals with the alignment, and you can give your tracking a full justification. You can make it centered, you can make it left aligned, you can make it right aligned depending on the alignment, but it is used to adjust the space informality over the range of characters. If you are using a full justification for your text, it will be like the second text, which it in some way lack the tracking. Because there are multiple space in the second word compared to the first sentence. Everyone has something unpolished without artificial training. The space there is different from the one underneath. So if you want to justify and if you want to adjust this space, it is called tracking. We are going to be talking about in this way this anatomy part, they are not necessary part of the terminologies in which we need to learn, but let us learn it. Then we are going to start with the first anatomy. The first anatomy deals with the x height. This x height is the measurement of small letters. As it said there, it means that the small letters are quite different from the capital letters, and these small letters have different measurements compared to the capital letters. If you understand this terminology, you notice that in typography there is something called sans serif, there is something called serif, there is something called slab serif, there is something called the x height, there is something called the cap height. That cap height is the the capital letter, the distance and the measurement of the capital letters. And also you get to understand that there is something called the ascender and the descender. As I was saying, you will notice that I was talking about the serif font. I said that the importance and the main difference from that sans serif to a scripting font is that a scripting font has an ascender and a descender. If you check the sans serif font which I was talking about, the capital letters, the capital values of the sans serif font, they are always equal. If you check their head, their the top and the bottom, they are always equal in, they are always equal in sizes. And this deals with the ascender and the descender anatomy of typography. The ascender deals with the part after the X height. So we have the X height, and this X height has it has two or more baselines. This has two or more baselines. We have the two baseline, and then what we are going to use to check the one that is unnecessary is that where these two lines meet, the topmost of these two lines, then the bottom of these two lines, from the top bottom up, it's called the ascender. From the meted line then to down, it's called the descender. Then also we are going to be studying about the close counter and the open counters. And these open counters and close counters depend on the type of font, depend on the type of letters in which you are using. There are some letter in which the close area of negative space, white line, formed by straight or a curved stroke, depending on the type of font in which, the type of alphabet, in which you are using. So you can get familiar with the close counters and the open counters, though they are not really important, but you need it, and there are basic things that will help you in your design journey. We have the crossbar, we have the strokes. This crossbar, they are as I said, the anatomy of these, they are in a way that to serve the purpose of the specific alphabet. If it's a short alphabet, it means that the kind of definition, the kind of name in which you are going to be pointing at in it will be X height and the cap height. If they are capital letters, you cannot really, in capital letters there is no the ascender and the descender. The only way you can see the capital letters are the only way you can see the ascender and the descender, they are the short letters. Then also in the crossbar, they are for the specific horizontal alphabet, and a stroke, they are for specific vertical diagonal lines. They are not really important, but you need to understand and know them, like the bows and leg is just for the short descending portion of a letter seen on K, R and Q. These are letters with they are not line like this, they are not straight like this, they are kind of descending in a slant form. And the bows is for a specific a closed stroke that the C is added to a particular alphabet. And you notice that all these have this kind of stroke, like a rounded, but it's not very radical. It's not like radical as it ought to be, but there are strokes in which you need to understand in typography. You have the terminal and the S. We have the spine and the arms. You have the shoulders and the airlines. Let me briefly talk on the shoulders and the airlines. I see that they are more important. These shoulders and the airlines depend on the type of font in which you are using. If you are using a sans serif font, notice that you get to see fonts like this. If you are using a slab sans serif, you notice that the font in the slab sans serif, they are thick, and in all edges they have the same diameters. So if you are using, to understand the airlines is the thinnest strike of the letter form. And to understand the shoulder, it means that the curved part of a lowercase, we have the title, we have the arm. The arm is just like the airline. But it must be up. We have the stem, we have the body, yeah, and we have the apex, we have the vertex.